Mars, the planet of action, ambition, and desire, will enter its sign of rulership Aries on Tuesday, April 30th. And until June 9th, we will have the power to take all the lessons we learned during Mercury retrograde and the tumultuous eclipse season and apply them to making change happen in our lives. Let's take a closer look and break it down for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive astrology. If you enjoy my content, please take a second to show your support by leaving a like or a comment, subscribing, and pressing the notification bell. It really encourages YouTube algorithm to show my content to more people, helps me grow. You also have the option to say thank you by buying me a coffee or a tea, whatever your heart desires. I really appreciate that as well. Before we dive in, a couple of announcements. If you have any questions, you want to understand your natal chart and figure out what it all means, you can book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I have a couple of reading durations, a few options. You can get a predictive reading. Those are year ahead or solar return, or a relationship reading where I compare your chart to the chart of your partner, talk about synastry, composite charts, etc. On my website, you can also find the variety of products I create. For example, my Mars candles are Exalted Mars and Mars Cazimi. So Exalted Mars captures the powerful Mars in Capricorn and is perfect for anyone whose natal Mars or the ascendant sign is an Earth or water signs, anyone who has their Mars in the 8th or the 12th houses, if your Mars is conjunct, square, opposition Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. And similarly, Mars Cazimi is also, this one captures Mars in Scorpio, the sign of rulership conjunct the Sun, which is a very rare alignment. We get Mars Cazimi about every 2 years, but to get it in the sign of rulership doesn't happen every 2 years. So this is quite special. Both of these candles are powerful in terms of taking action, persevering, sticking to a plan. You know, it can help you with your workout routine. It can help you have discipline, have courage, and stick to things. So definitely check out my website for these and other candles or oils I have on there. And let's talk about Mars and Aries. So this is exciting because we just had Venus enter Taurus, her home sign, right? And now we have Mars following Venus and entering the sign Mars rules, the sign Mars is very strong in. Every planet has a sign or two that it rules, meaning it feels particularly at home at and comfortable at or in. So for Mars, it's Aries and Scorpio. Scorpio is the yin domicile of Mars. That's why Scorpio tends to be a lot more private, a lot more internal, and has a lot of action, but you don't always see it because that's how yin signs operate. And Mars in Aries is very much young, in your face, active, let's do it type energy. So what's interesting is we just had Mercury retrograde between the 1st and 25th of April. We had Aries season, we had an eclipse in Aries. And so there was a lot of energy of fresh new beginnings, but potentially blockages, delays, restrictions, things getting stagnant and not moving as fast as we would like them to. So Mars entering Aries will definitely allow for more forward momentum. And I think it's definitely the time when we are taking the lessons we have learned and able to take action. Finally, it's like the time when things are moving forward. Let's say you've been waiting to buy a house for a while, right? And maybe Mercury retrograde brought a lot of delays and a lot of sort of no's, and you had to pivot and adjust. And then Mars going direct, not Mars going direct, but Mars entering Aries can help you finally take action. Maybe you get approved and you can move into the house, so you can start, kind of getting the inspections, etc., whatever you need. So Mars enters Aries on Tuesday, April 30th, stays here until June 9th. And what do we need to know about Mars and Aries? Mars and Aries is very fast, very brave. So wherever you need to wherever you're looking for a little bit of courage, wherever you're feeling doubtful of yourself and like needing that inspiration, that push, Mars will provide it. It will encourage you to take action. It's a little bit impulsive sometimes and a little bit too good at starting things versus follow through. So you got to be careful that you're not like, you know, burning too much energy, starting too many projects that you don't see yourself continuing. So make sure you're not like overdoing it or like steamrolling things. It's very direct in terms of taking action, in terms of communication, in terms of attraction. We have Venus in Taurus right now, which is very yin and feminine and beautiful looking, but at the same time you have this masculine energy that is also not going to hesitate to tell you how one is feeling, right? Very sexual, but once again, that sort of like quick energy, more interested in like doing things fast versus doing things slow. But I think having Venus in Taurus with that sensual, slow, steady attitude might inspire you to rethink your approach. But you might notice that you're like more interested in quickies, potentially sexually. I think I like to think of Aries as like a kid because it's the first sign of the zodiac and it's very childlike and very kind of, you know, if it falls, it gets up and tries again. So this is a really nice energy because after having a lot of stagnant, frustrating, uncertain energy, we finally have this, you know, okay, if it doesn't work out the first time, we'll do it again, we'll figure it out, it's gonna be great. You may feel a little bit, you know, you may feel a little bit quicker in terms of like you get fired up faster and excited faster, but you can also get angrier faster. So expressing frustration and sort of like fighting and getting like snappish at others might be an issue here, as well as, like I said, just being like sort of too maybe like self-driven or not good at follow through. So those are the challenges. A couple of days to note. What's interesting is like Mars really is just hanging out in Aries. There's no difficult aspects. Mars is just there. It will sextile Pluto on May 3rd, which will help you focus yourself and give you endurance and stamina and charm you need if you need it to get like sort of help of authority figures or, you know, get some kind of support. That is a good time. And then on May 18th, around May 18th, a few days before, a few days after, Mars will also conjoin North Node. And that is a tricky one because North Node represents hunger and it like intensifies things, and Mars in Aries is already brave and already sort of self-driven and, you know, restless on many levels. So you put it together with a North Node and your desires get that much more powerful. Lance Armstrong is someone who's born with his Mars conjunct North Node, and we all know, or most of us know, how far he has gone in order to reach success. So, you know, he's done illegal things. So with this energy, you will need to be mindful. You will need to make sure you're not pushing things extra hard. So if you ever want to know more, you want to understand your chart, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, and we're going to dive into each rising sign and talk about the gifts, the possibilities, the opportunities this could bring for you. Starting as always with Aries rising, Mars is about to enter your first house. And this is good because you've had Mercury retrograde in your first house. You maybe felt uncertain from, you know, which skincare is best, to a point of who you want to be, what the next chapter of your life will hold. And you've had Mars in the 12th house, which is also a lot more confusing, like a lot of dreams or maybe sleepless nights and something, you know, completing in your life, but you're not quite sure what, you're not quite sure of the direction you're taking. So Mars entering the first house gives you more energy, gives you more direction in life, more clarity on many levels, more ability to go ahead and do it and take action. So it's a big deal. It's a wonderful time to start working out, to, you know, invest in your look, in your body, because you have that energy. If you've been thinking about it, if you've been focusing on like eating better, taking better care of yourself, now is a good time. It's a lovely time for any kind of personal action, starting projects, starting a business, starting, you know, applying for jobs, going for things, asserting yourself, expressing yourself. There's going to be a sextile to Pluto in your 11th house, so I think it's also lovely for exploring new dreams, new possibilities, getting your friends involved, getting consultants involved, maybe considering projects that put you together, in touch with other people, and sort of like partnerships, things like that. And around May 18th, give it like 5 days on each side, Mars will conjoin North Node. So that's the only one I would say watch out for it, because your desires might be so strong that you will like hurt yourself or hurt other people or push things too hard and come across as intimidating. Enjoy this energy, and if you ever want to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. If you are a Taurus rising, Mars is entering your 12th house. So Mars in the 12th house is interesting. Of course, we got to consider that you just had Mercury retrograde in your 12th house. There was an eclipse in your 12th house. And so on a core level, you are in this place right now where maybe you are considering retreating, considering taking a break, considering changing something in your life, considering bringing more healing energy, spiritual energy into your life, becoming a healer, becoming a yoga teacher, becoming sort of an inspirational person for others going through tumultuous times. And so now that Mars is entering your 12th house and it's in its home sign, it's strong, you have the power to make those things happen. You're more likely to work solo. You might prefer to work in solitude and being alone, working alone, and maybe even get like sort of focused on a project that is taking you from April 30th into June 9th, like a long-term project. You may notice your dreams becoming more vivid, and you're picking up on more intuitive signals. You're picking up on more, you're maybe like even meeting people who are like martial. And, you know, Mars rules your house of relationships. So dating someone you meet at like a yoga retreat or at a faraway place is quite likely. Yeah, 12th house also rules like foreign lands, faraway places. So connecting with people at foreign places, helping people who are like isolated or spiritually lost is quite likely here. And Mars will sextile Pluto in your 10th house of career. So it's also like professional change that either allows you to take a break and retreat, or allows you to become like a spiritual figure and more kind of like a healer type person. Let me know how this resonates, and if you want to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. Next, if you are a Gemini rising, for Gemini risings, Mars is entering your 11th house, and we had Mercury retrograde here, we had the eclipse here. And for a while, you may have been questioning your goals, your plans for the future. Even your friendships may have felt uncertain, or your alliances or your social media strategy. You may have felt like ready for something new, for a new role, for a new opportunity, but didn't quite know what it is. So now that Mars is entering your 11th house, you're likely to know what it is. You're likely to have the courage, the energy to take that action, right? What is Mars in the 11th house good for? It's good for starting social media campaigns, for starting group projects, for doing work that is maybe somehow altruistic or volunteering, or doing work that is like humanitarian. And you will not do it alone, likely you will do it in tandem with other people. And that could be, you know, that could be like volunteering at a dog shelter, or that could be starting a YouTube channel where you're talking about the benefits of eating celery or something. Like you're doing things that you feel inspired about, you feel passionate about, and you feel like the world will need to know about. The negative, the danger is being too maybe pushy or too controlling, too sort of, you know, my way or the highway, because wherever Mars goes, we're more likely to encounter fights. So fighting with friends is more likely, but also like I think you can use this to fight for the rights of a group or fight for your friendships or some kind of group you belong to. And because Mars will be sextiling Pluto in your 9th house, it's once again that energy of like teaching, guiding, inspiring other people, maybe traveling with your friends, planning a group trip, maybe offering free legal advice because 9th house represents law. Watch out around like May 18th, 5 days before, 5 days after. Mars will be conjoining North Node and your desires may be so strong that it kind of leads to a blowout or some drama in your friendship circle. Let me know how this resonates. And if you want to know more, always book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I will offer personal guidance and help you make sense of it all. If you are a Cancer rising, Mars is entering your 10th house. How exciting, right? You have had Mercury retrograde between April 1st and 25th in your 10th house. There was an eclipse conjunct Chiron in Mercury retrograde, and this is your house of career, status, reputation. So April could have made you feel like restless and ready for new beginnings, but also it could have made you feel uncertain about the future and what is it exactly that you want and the direction you want to take. And maybe you looked at the past and you considered a couple of possibilities. So Mars entering your 10th house, entering the sign and rules for the next about 6 weeks, right, is very powerful for taking action. You're almost becoming like, whatever, I don't know how it's gonna play out, I'm just gonna do it because I feel like doing it. So it's very like Mars and Aries. Just do it. Just explore it, right? Just do it was created when Jupiter, the slogan was part of Jupiter and Aries campaign. So it's also my favorite thing because I'm born with Jupiter and Aries and I'm like, yay. So you feel more ambitious, you feel more courageous, more willing to take professional risks, more willing to assert yourself, to speak up for yourself. You may run into conflicts with bosses or people in power, authority figures, but it is also potentially the energy that inspires you and encourages you to fight for your career, for your future, for your goals. Mars being in Aries could also inspire you to take action professionally that is gonna put you in military or gonna make you a business owner or gonna make you give you like some kind of uniform, gotta fight for things like a firefighter or like a military person type energy. So it's really good for taking action, but watch out for overextending yourself, spreading yourself too thin, trying to do too many things, because that is always the danger with, Mars and Aries, and here it's in your 10th house. Let me know how this resonates, and if you want to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. Now, if you are a Leo rising, Mars is entering your 9th house, and for a while, between April 1st and 25th, Mercury was retrograde here. We also had a solar eclipse on April 8th in your 9th house. And you may have felt conflicted ideologically, uncertain about the future steps, uncertain about the direction your life is taking. You may have dealt with some kind of confusion when it comes to education, travel, writing, legal matters, publishing. With Mars coming here, you are more willing to take action. The confusion, even if it's still a little bit there, you're more open to, okay, I'm not going to stand and stare at these 3 doors. I'm just going to open one and see what's there. And if it's not the right thing, I will retrace my steps and try again. So with Mars in the 9th house, you are driven to take action. You're driven to grow. And you're driven to grow through learning, maybe signing up for a course. You're driven to grow through traveling, maybe booking that trip and going to a foreign land that you've been thinking about, exploring. You're more driven to take classes and learn new skills and open anything that helps you open yourself up. Mars in the 9th house potentially will also encourage more ideological debates, where you feel really passionate about something you believe, and then you end up telling other people about it and sort of maybe being a little bit too pushy. So watch out for being excessively opinionated and kind of you know, it's not always worth it to convince other people of your beliefs. Sometimes it's better to take your beliefs and take action and make something happen. If you are a writer, this could also be a great time to write and to put your ideas, to put these passions within you on a piece of paper. If you want to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, and let me know how this resonates. Have you been feeling the confusion of the Aries season and Mercury retrograde in Aries? Moving on to Virgo rising. If you are Virgo rising, Mars is entering your 8th house. So in April, we had Mercury retrograde in your 8th house. There was an eclipse in your 8th house. And if you are in a place of some kind of negotiation, if you're, you know, starting a business, if you're signing a contract, if you're dealing with financial questions where you're trying to figure out how to set up a payment for something or how to set up an LLC, incorporate your business, whatever involves, you know, like money, other people, agreements. If that was confusing in April, in May, you're more likely to take action. You're more driven to sign that contract, to start that partnership, to get that loan. 8th house represents hidden things and sort of hidden agreements. And so sometimes needing to dig deep and figure certain things out and renegotiate and sort of, you know, look at the small details can be quite likely here. 8th house represents other people's money, and Mars has the energy to go after other people's money. So, you know, from like spending on courses to hustling and finding clients to negotiating contracts, like all of this is the matter. All of this is covered by the 8th house. On the negative, you may run into some battles connected to money where you're very like, you have this like independent spirit, you know, you can handle your own finances, you can be independent, and you don't want other people to help you maybe. And so that might be a source of tension and frustration. But as you may learn with this transit, like, you know, there's ways that you can still work with other people. Maybe you take the leadership, but you still allow other people to help you, because that can make things move faster. Let me know how this resonates. And if you want to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. If you are a Libra rising, Mars is entering your 7th house. And in April, you had Mercury retrograde here, you had the eclipse here, and there could have been new things romantically happening, or there could have been some confusion romantically, maybe some restlessness and desire to start new things, but also uncertainty, right? Because the retrograde is not helping with communication. It's not always even inspiring clear thinking. So you could have had like uncertainty about, you know, the future path for your business, the future of your relationship. Maybe some old fights came up. Maybe there was an ex that came back into your life. Maybe some kind of partnership that was introduced but didn't quite pan out. So now that Mars is entering the sign it rules, this could be beneficial for all of those things. Going and taking action when it comes to relationships, right? Being more willing to date, being more willing to assert yourself, to speak up, to negotiate things, and like make sure your goals are not being forgotten in the negotiation. This could also benefit your partner, because 7th house is the house of relationships. So if you are in one, Mars entering the sign it rules could suggest that your partner is becoming more active, more driven, more confident within themselves. So that may, you know, benefit you, or that may also cause some tension in the relationship, because as a Libra rising, you have that kind of people pleaser, need to be in a relationship energy. And if your partner is suddenly becoming more empowered to go and do their own things, you will get a chance to examine why you feel maybe a certain way, why you feel frustrated by, you know, them doing certain things. But it's a great time for like doing active dates too, going on dates that take you to the gym or take you hiking. In order to avoid fighting in a relationship, you can choose a cause that you're fighting for together with your partner. Maybe going volunteering, maybe, like I said, going on an active date are possibilities here. It will also, Mars will also sextile Pluto in early May in your 5th house. And that is interesting because that could inspire either like a lot of passion in your relationship, or it could also inspire you to start a creative project or to have a baby. So like kind of parenthood, children, pregnancy are all up for grabs here. Watch out around like May 18th as Mars conjoins North Node, 5 days before, 5 days after. There might be a bit more tension, a bit more drama in your relationship, and maybe just sort of all or nothing energy. So try to deflate some of the drama by, like I said, once again, doing something active with your partner. If you want to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. If you are a Scorpio rising, Mars is entering your 6th house, and this is your chart ruler. Coming to the sign it rules and getting empowered. So this is good news for you and feeling more empowered, feeling more ready to make change happen. So in April, we had Mercury retrograde in Aries. We had the eclipse in Aries. This was your 6th house, and there could have been some work matters that felt confusing, maybe a weird relationship with a boss or a colleague, maybe a sense of like needing to change something at work, but not knowing what, not knowing which direction to go in or which steps to take. There could have been health matters, diet, exercise, sort of like health issue that you've been addressing or felt uncertain about. So now that the Mercury is finally direct and Mars is entering your 6th house, and not only it's your chart ruler entering the sign of rulership, but it's also Mars entering the house joy. It's house joy because Mars is happy being in the 6th house. There's a lot to do and you have the energy to do it. You're driven to do work. You're driven to problem solve. You're sort of even doing your errands faster. You're taking on more projects. You're working out more. Instead of worrying about a health issue or a job, you're now doing research. You're seeing doctors. You're applying for jobs. You definitely have more like courage and more power. And it will also sextile Pluto in your 4th house in early May, which could suggest either support of family or maybe tackling issues in the family, being kind of more proactive versus frustrated when it comes to family, any legal matters, any real estate, moving, housing related matters. Watch out around May 18th, 5 days before, 5 days after, as Mars conjoins North Node, because the energy could be like too intense, explosive, and dramatic. And if you want to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, to receive personal guidance. If you are a Sagittarius rising, in April, we had a lot of confusion in your 5th house of romance, creativity, pleasure, children, with Mercury retrograde, the eclipse conjunct Mercury retrograde. So maybe you dealt with some relationship confusion. Maybe matters connected to children and parenthood felt uncertain as you try to figure out what you want versus what your partner wants. Maybe your creative projects presented some kind of problems, or you had an ex come back into your life. There could have just been like a sense of frustration, right? Delays, and a lack of progress. And in May, or even starting April 30th, we have a brand new, fresh start in your 5th house, as you have, after you've done a lot of like clearing, understanding, questioning, now you have the power to take action as Mars enters the sign it rules, comes into your 5th house. This gives you the energy to move through any issues, any tensions, any conflicts, to take action, to go date, to sort of express yourself, right? So creatively, this could be a great time. And creatively, when it comes to any sort of pleasures, writing, dancing, hiking, teaching, studying, anything like that, you have more energy to do it. And maybe with Mercury retrograde, you have rediscovered what you truly like to do. Maybe you've brought an old passion into your life. Romantically, this could be a time when you're going on more dates, when you're having more passionate nights. It could boost your sex drive potentially. It could be the time when you are feeling more connected with your partner, more attracted to your partner. If you have kids, this could be the time when you're spending more time with them, or you are handling any matters related to children. Maybe it has to do with their school, or it has to do with their, like anything, like their wardrobe, you're shopping for clothes for them or something like that. So that is pretty good. I think just watch out for overdoing it and taking things too hard, too far, partying too hard, you know, sort of getting too non-compromising in relationships because you're craving passion and pleasure so much that you're forgetting what's reasonable, what is not. Let me know how this resonates, and if you want to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. Moving on to Capricorn rising. For you, Mars is entering your 4th house of home, family, and living situation. So in April, you could have run into some kind of confusion here. Maybe you've been thinking about moving and the progress has been slow. Maybe your home renovation project got delayed because of some construction issue. Maybe there were some family uncertainty or family issues that you've been dealing with. So now that Mars is entering its home sign, will be here for 6 weeks, you are moving forward. You're maybe literally moving. You know, if you're looking to buy a home, things may be finally moving forward. You're finding a home. If you're renovating, maybe the renovation is completing or moving faster. Things are speeding up here, right? So taking action to sort of find a new home, change a home, buy a home is all likely. Sell a home, right? It's the house of home. If you are in real estate, for example, this could also be the time, like if your business has been slow or your job has been slow, it might be speeding up. You may be driven to spend more time with family. You may literally be going to see family. Of course, Mars always represents a place where we're willing to take on a fight. So arguing with family is also quite likely. So instead of arguing, try to be active with your family. Try to choose, you know, pursuits that you can do together. Maybe go hiking with them or play a game of soccer or something together. So you can always use this energy in a more constructive way. You may also be more driven to spend time at home and hang out with like neighbors or family members versus go out as much. But your family life can be quite active right now, actually. So the outside life might be a bit more quiet, but family life is just like go, 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 busy, busy, busy. Let me know how this resonates, and if you want to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. Also a really good time to do DIY projects, work in the garden, and fix things up around your house. If you are an Aquarius rising, Mars is entering your 3rd house of communication, schedule, writing, siblings, neighbors. And for a while in April, we had Mercury retrograde here. We had the eclipse conjunct Mercury retrograde, and your mind maybe felt like more sluggish. Maybe you had the ideas, but you didn't quite know how to implement them, how to make them happen. If you are a business owner, you may have run into some delays, some logistical issues, even like travel, or you know, your car may have needed to be inspected. There may have been a lot of miscommunications, issues with siblings, issues with neighbors. But now that we're out of the retrograde and Mars is entering your 3rd house, your mind is likely to speed up. Not just your mind, your schedule too. As you know, Mars is in the sign of its rulership, so you're likely to just like go head first into any challenge, take action, hustle, you know, move around. Watch out for driving too fast, because that's always a danger with Mars in the 3rd house. And also just rushing places, right? Like make sure you're balancing your busy schedule with some quiet time. There might be more trips, there might be more ideas you have and taking action on. Watch out for starting too many projects, right? You have a certain amount of hours in a day, certain amount of commitments, and maybe it's best to take it one step at a time. You may be moving through or dealing with some kind of conflicts with siblings, conflicts with neighbors, trying to figure things out, becoming more active when it comes to neighborhood, like I don't know, starting to clean things up in the neighborhood or advocating for planting flowers or something like that. So it's a really good time for traveling, for taking action, for exploring business ideas, for working out, maybe like working out with your neighbors, finding classes in the neighborhood, finding gyms in the neighborhood. And if you were dealing with any like tech issues or business issues, those are more likely to iron out and improve as Mars is entering its home sign, but not just on their own, more because you're willing to take action. Also, any like scheduling, communication, logistical, education, exam related things might also speed up and bring you some answers and clarity. Let me know how this resonates, and if you want to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. If you are a Pisces rising, Mars is about to enter your second house of money and values. And so in April, we had Mercury retrograde, we had the eclipse in Aries conjunct Mercury retrograde, and maybe finances have felt a little bit confusing. Maybe you weren't sure what's happening with your job, maybe you weren't sure where you're going, what is going to bring you more money, what is going to bring you more wealth, what is sort of, even issues with self-confidence could have shown up, right? But now that Mercury is direct and Mars is entering your second house, you have more drive to make change happen. Even if you don't have all the answers, you're more willing to take risks, you're more willing to put yourself out there and to hustle. This is a really busy time. You may be doing more work that requires you to be independent, that requires you to fight. Maybe you're a lawyer, you're going to court more, or you're a business owner, you're reaching out to people more, you're speaking in front of an audience, getting yourself more clients. Mars in the second house can also suggest spending more money. Sometimes it's literally like burning through cash. You're making more, but you're spending more. You have this like, very Aries, like quick burnout, quick recovery, burn a bunch of cash, make a bunch of cash. So it could be like everything is like fast, but be careful that you're not overspending and not getting in debt. It could be a good time to figure out what you want and what you value and what you desire and take action, because you have the support of the powerful planet of action in the home sign right now, encouraging you to make your dreams a reality. Watch out for fighting about money. Watch out for being too, sort of maybe too kind of ego driven when it comes to your spendings. That watch out that you're not like spending all the money on a new toy that you want and forgetting that your child needs kindergarten fees or something paid. So fights around money and values are more likely here. But because it's Mars in rulership, hopefully it will give you the solid judgment in terms of what's worth and what's not worth fighting for. Let me know how this resonates, and if you want to book a reading, you have any questions, any extra questions, you can always find me on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I hope this video was helpful and you have learned a lot and you're getting excited about Mars entering Aries. It's gonna be fun. It's also definitely gonna be interesting to see Mars and Aries together with slow and steady Venus and Taurus, because the two are quite contradictory to one another. I'll talk to you very soon. Bye.